I think he's elements of myself. People have said, who know me, that they recognise Laidlaw in me. But when I started to write, I started with a basic belief that you can never capture anybody, the complete person, on the page. They are too various, they're too multiform. You can't do that. So having started from that, I use any elements I find from people I've met that I want and add to them and distort them and change them. So Laidlaw is, I suppose, myself maybe with a facelift and with certain alterations in the heart and head. But many of his thoughts are my thoughts, because I find it's a good way to speak from behind a mask, you know. So that many of the things Laidlaw thinks and says are things that I would think and say and things that I believe. But there are also vast differences. I think I hope he's somewhat more depressive than I am. So I chose a policeman who has to, as Laidlaw says in one of the books, other people can read a terrible event in the newspaper and put it in the bin. He's got to confront it. He's got to look at it, try to understand it. And I wanted to write about Glasgow, which is, I think, a marvellous city. And putting all of these things together, I thought he has to be a policeman. He has to be... I mean, the book began with, sounds a bit like Jeanne d'Arc, but with voices in my head. I heard the voice speaking, and I didn't know what I just heard some of the things he said, some of his attitudes, and I noted them down. And eventually I realised this man has to be a policeman. But the point of the Laidlaw books is that he's not a policeman who happens to be a man. He's a man who happens to be a policeman. And the key is the nature of Laidlaw. The key to the books is the nature of Laidlaw, what he is like. And I've often thought that I don't read a lot of crime fiction because I get reality starvation about page 3. Most of it I just don't believe. When I read Agatha Christie, I think, oh my, come on, murder at the vicarage, and you know.